Okay, hi. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the next session of the ACE series, which is focused towards the building entrepreneurial skills within the students. We are inviting some of the ACE entrepreneurs who would come and share their thoughts about their own journey and would also be able to answer your questions, whichever you can have regarding your own entrepreneurial journey, which you may have in mind for future. So today we have with us a digital marketing ace, Mr. Pritesh Patel. While we know him in person, but I'd like to give a formal introduction so that everyone is aware of the speaker today. So Mr. Pritesh Patel is a seasoned digital marketeer. He has more than 17 years of experience in the digital space. He started an ad company and he also started a digital marketing training company. He's also been at the helm of some of the most important companies, which has given him expertise, which makes him a leading voice in everything digital. So when you talk about digital marketing, you'd see it is not just two words. There is a huge span with digital marketing covers, and he's considered a leading voice, in anything digital. Apart from this, his innovative ideas and creative backed by strong technical skills, because again, this is not just about ideas, it is also about implementing those ideas, and you need to have a technical acumen in order to achieve what you aim for. So with all these, he's been able to achieve digital goals for various companies, and these companies range from small, medium, as well as large enterprises. Now, his expertise in digital marketing per se ranges across various, areas as well, which I was just telling you about. So he has expertise around social media, search engine optimization, PPC advertising, mobile, as well as content marketing, email marketing, you name it, and he's an ace on that. So without much ado, we have with us Mr. Pritesh Patel, and Mr. Pritesh Patel will talk to us about his journey towards becoming an entrepreneur, and of course we will take certain questions regarding what could be useful for you to become an entrepreneur in this space, digital marketing. But as I said, that all entrepreneurial journeys have their own problems, their own starting problems, and you can always relate. You may not be looking at digital marketing space for an entrepreneurial stint per se, but you can always learn from experience of fellow entrepreneurs. So I think Mr. Pritesh Patel would be able to help us with that. Of course, at the end of the session, we'll also take questions from you, whatever questions you may have regarding his journey, regarding doubts which you have in your mind about how to go about it. We'll take those questions as well. So I'll hand it over to Pritesh sir. But before we do that, Pritesh sir, I have a small question for the group. It's a small poll. Let me take that poll, share results with everybody, and then we'll start with our own questions
Sure,
and
sir.
answers. Is that okay?
Works for me. Yeah.
Just give me a moment, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, the show of hands option works in Zoom also, right? Perfect.
I guess so. Yes, it works. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so if I can have a show of hands of people first who feel that entrepreneurship is their cup of tea. You think that you want to become an entrepreneur, you think that an entrepreneurial journey is something which you are looking at for yourself as well. May not be immediately, maybe 3 years down the line, 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, but entrepreneurship is what I'm looking at. Let me have a show of hands. Okay, good. Oh, it's quite a good number. We have almost half the batch already who wants to take up entrepreneurship in future.
I was expecting 100%.
100% is always a bad number, sir.
Yeah, I know. That is true. So the only reason is because everybody should definitely try once. Why not? It's
That's a
always
great
good.
start to the session then, right? So let's
Yeah.
see how many more hands do we have. We have 24 hands. Let's see how many
Hmm.
more hands do we have by the end of this session. Okay. So without taking much time, let's get started. Pritesh sir, we'll start to first by understanding how your journey has been in this space.
Sure.
What
Yeah.
led to it, what challenges did you face and all. So let's start with days back. You were saying that in your days there were chalks and blackboards. So tell us about your journey as an entrepreneur and how it started.
Brilliant. So welcome all the students. I'm so glad talking to you guys. And one thing I can say, share with you is what took me to reach to a certain level. I would say 17 years. Fairly happy with my career, with where I am in my growth path and everything, personal as well as professional. You guys have an opportunity to do the same in just 5 to 6 years time, right? So you're going to take the leap of at least 10 years what I took more, right? And I'll be very honest, I'm not a guy who get the grades who are like 80%, 90% and all. My wife is, no doubt. But I was an average student, right? And still I still consider myself as an average person. So as an average person, if I feel, and I always give my example, if I can do a decent job in my life, in my career, at the age of 42, I guess anybody can do it, right? I'm the benchmark. You guys can take it as the lower कि ये कर सकता है, तो anybody can do it. It's like that. So take it that way and move forward, right? Because grades and everything is great. I'm not saying grades are bad. Always go for good grades, no doubt about that. But even if you don't have good grade, doesn't mean you'll not be able to do something in life, right? So I used to keep telling my daughter, right? So they don't have a grading system here in Canada. I mean, they don't have a percentage system. So in India, obviously, we used to have those grace mark. I don't know if you guys have it or not, but in our school time, we used to have grace mark. So in all of my major report card, at least I've always utilized that opportunity given by the university by taking the grace mark, right? So I got that 5 marks grace. So they push me to the next. So that's completely fine. I look back and I see all those things did not really count. What really count is your attitude. So if just to share my stuff, I mean, I started my college in 2001 2003. I'm obviously, everybody thinks I'm a RISB pass out, but technically I would love to take it as a RISB pass out. But I have done my MBA from ISB, but spent my entire time at RISB Management College. I have a great connection with all the professors over there. And something which I always learned from Professor Kalim Khan, when I used to go along with him, where I used to go and take trainings, and I really get fascinated by the way he used to take training. And one day I told sir saying that I would also like to take training. He said, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah, I don't know when, but I would love to take." And then I just started working with him for 6 months, just to get the feel about how he's taking the training, what exactly he's doing, and how he's conducting the class. I prepare presentations for him for all the training. And in 2003, I worked for with him for 6 months. Then I got my break into media industry, and that's how I jumped. And I started working as a salesperson in Times of India. Worked there for almost 2.5, 3 years. Got a lot of knowledge. Then obviously somewhere in the mind, there was something called as internet. But to be honest, and I don't feel shy, at the age of like when I was in 12th standard, people in the college were talking about internet. And to be honest, I don't feel shy to tell you guys, I thought it was a magazine, because there was no mobile phone, there was nothing. So somebody said internet pe ye hua tha, internet pe this happened. I thought it must be some kind of magazine in 1996, right? And that's how I realized, saying that okay, let me read more about it. And I started reading about that in 1996, what exactly is internet. And then in 2006, when I got an opportunity to do something in internet, I jumped the opportunity. I left my job at times and I started with Yahoo, where Indian industry, especially on digital, was hardly anything. And from there, went to various companies, worked with Comly Media, worked with Facebook. And 8 years ago, I jumped into my entrepreneurship journey. Somewhere in my mind, as I said in 2003, there was always something to do on my own. And the reason I wanted to do is, obviously I felt that there will be something, if I do it on my own, I'll be able to enjoy what I do. It's like telling Tendulkar, saying that, you know what, you go and play and we'll pay you money. So obviously, when you start making money on your passion, it's a fun thing, right? You don't really feel that, oh, I have to go to office, right? There is no Monday morning blues since last 8 years for me. Hopefully for my team also. By the way, before I forget, I have Dharmendra Prajapati also here. He's our backbone of our company. He's ex Rizvi guy. Dharmendra, you can just raise your hand so at least they will know. So he's the guy who does everything, whatever I'm speaking, whatever I'm going to talk. He's the man who's behind me. He does all the hard work. I take the glory. Okay. So net, what I'm saying is the journey started obviously in my mind in 2003 when I was passing out. And what really I feel what really worked well for me is something which I want to give it to you all. And that's the three things which I want you guys to do it from today. If you're doing it on a regular basis, great. But if I just want to tell you those three things is read, read, and read. The only thing you can do is just keep reading. Okay, I know, and the worst part is like current generation have OTT, you have Netflix, you have Amazon Prime, you have various other things, right? You have social media, you have Instagram, Snapchats, and everything. Spend time on that, which is great. But at the end of the day, see what you're getting it out of that, right? That is going to be very critical. So from my perspective, what I started the journey, as I said, is 2003. Wanted to get into training. I actually got into training in 2017. So it took me almost like 13 years, 10 years, 12 years to start something which I wanted to do in 2003. And the reason I started entrepreneurship is because I got experience. I learned over a period of time. I started reading a lot. And somewhere I felt that it is more of a calculative risk rather than an overall big risk, right? Because normally when you do a management, you guys will know that any business, there is tons and tons of risk. So I started from a perspective, and to be honest, being a Gujarati, there is always that business entrepreneurship in mind. So that's what really kicked in me. And at the age of 35, I was at a high of my career. I was the as a senior level team at Facebook India, and somewhere I had to take my calling, saying that if I don't do this now, I'll miss the boat. Because at 35 you can take the risk. At 40, I won't say you take the risk, because there is a lot of other issues, right? From financially, you have family, you have to take care of a lot of things. So that's where I went to my wife and I told her, saying that I'm thinking of leaving Facebook and starting something of my own. I'll be very honest. Everybody told me, don't leave your job. That was only my family and my wife told me, saying that if you feel you can do it, you go ahead and take 2 years. I actually asked her for 1 year, saying that I just need 1 year to prove myself. If things works out, great. Otherwise, I'll just go back to my job, because somewhere I had that confidence that kahin na kahin somebody will take me for the job. So she gave me 2 years, and touch wood, it's been like 8 years plus, doing good, enjoying my journey, doing a lot of things. Started my training company, trained tons of people, and enjoy. And as I said, right, when you make money on your passion, it's amazing. Like, and again, I keep giving the example of Tendulkar. Like, you could tell Tendulkar saying that go and hit a six, and I'll give you $1,000. Do you think Tendulkar will hit the six for $1,000? No, he'll not hit the six for $1,000. He'll hit the six because he likes hitting those sixes and the fours, right? So that's why, and then he makes money. That's exactly how entrepreneurship is. It's a glory from outside, no doubt, but obviously you're going to have a lot of midnight oil burning, lot of stress and everything. That's all parcel of life, but something which really excited, and that's how I started my journey. Sorry, sir. Tapi sir, it was a long answer, but I don't know if that makes
No,
sense.
but it was worthwhile. I mean, I didn't know the story myself, so it was kind of enlightening for me. Uh, so, if since you worked before coming to becoming an entrepreneur yourself, were there any specific aspects of your work life which pushed or motivated you towards entrepreneurship, or was that something that हमेशा ऐसा ही था कि करना तो यही है, but you thought you'll work and then maybe go, or there was something at work life in your work life which pushed you towards entrepreneurship?
So yeah, that's a very good question. So yes, the work life really gave me a lot of experience. Always there in my mind. Like I just saw a show of hands, like 24, 25 people said they want to get into entrepreneurship. So even during my college days, I always had that thing in my mind, saying that I want to get into entrepreneurship one day, right? And work obviously made me more better in what I was thinking. I got a lot of clarity over a period of time. I got exactly how I used to think earlier. And I would always urge you guys to do, like, right now, those guys who said they want to get into entrepreneurship, write down 10 points, what all things you want to do and how you're going to do it. Keep that paper with you, right? And then after your college or something, you start working. In 1 year's time, start writing on next to that column now how you feel out for those 10 things. Bet my life that in 2 years time you will see the change in those 10 things, and those 10 things will really change differently over a period of time. And then after a couple of years, it will be more of a calculative risk. So when you are writing it now, it's a very high risk, right? In next 3 to 4 years, once your college is done, or maybe you're starting to go to some workplace and getting a lot of learnings, you will see that 10 things will really change. But what you will really see, the biggest change is your risk will go down because your experience is coming in. So yeah, so I got inspired. And again, I always keen to do something. I never thought that I'll do something in media, but I was very clear that I'll not be a salesperson anywhere. I'll be a salesperson in something which I'm really interested in, and media was something I was very much interested, and that's why I jumped into media. And somewhere in my life, when I started at Yahoo, I was very confident that this is the place where this is the medium where I want to do something of my own soon. But that soon took me almost like 10 years. Yeah.
Okay, since you emphasized on that part, quite a few times, that working somewhere gave you a clarity about what it was, and then probably it helped you to move to the entrepreneurship uh, in one way. Apart from that, understanding or having clarity about what you do. Apart from that, are there any other factors also that come from the fact that you had a work experience which
Yeah.
helped you into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, of course. I mean, work experience definitely helps. No doubt about that. I'm not saying that I'm discouraging people without any work experience. I'm asking you guys to go and jump. If you have your family business and you're already aware about certain things, go ahead and jump. Don't need to go for work experience. But for me, I never wanted to go into my family business, right? So I wanted to go and do something of my own. So work experience really helps. The reason is because it not only helps you to get better in your domain, but it helps you a lot of things, right? For example, normally what happens is we become friends with people whom we have like-minded, right? That's how we become friends. I mean, oh, we are like-minded, then we are friends. That's exactly how friendships and everything work. Business don't work like that. So if I'm good at sales and XYZ is good at sales, doesn't make sense for me to work with that person as a partner also. The reason is because you need to identify a person who can complement you rather than who can compete with you. If a same salesperson comes and we start something, we're not really adding anything extra value to the company, right? Instead, I would get someone where I lack. Maybe I'm not great at creative, maybe I'm not good at strategy. Then I'll get someone who's good in strategy. So then what happens is, now suddenly the company get two people, which is one is good in sales and one is good in strategy. So that's how the combination really works. So all those things I really learned in my work experience more than I would say. I mean, obviously domain is important, but there is something called as organizational behavior in your college. I'm sure you guys will learn. At that time I felt that it's such a boring subject, but now if you ask me, I felt it was such an important subject, because those all the things will help you to learn the right partners, what kind of team you need to choose. You need to get someone who can complement you. You need to obviously understand how your clients behave, all those kind of things. So I would say work experience in the domain, and apart from work experience, the teamwork and various other aspects will also help you in your entrepreneurship journey. At least it helped me for sure.
Okay. And since you've been into two different spaces of your entrepreneurial journey, you started an ad company and you also started a digital marketing training company. So, what led it to these shifts from a job to an entrepreneur in an ad company, and then a digital marketing training? So, what led to this?
No, this is very interesting. So, in fact, I was doing my senior management MBA from ISB in 2013, and that was a very heavy course. And to be honest, we have our work and family in our life, right? That's what our life circles around. And when you do a course like a very extensive senior management course, so they clearly said that either you leave your work or you leave your family, and make sure that this your studies is in. So you cannot have three different aspects. So either your work, family, or study. So I selected study and I selected work, and suddenly I saw that my family had taken aback. Like I actually didn't go for a movie, because I thought if I go for a movie, 3 hours movie, 1 hour traveling, which will be equivalent to 100, 200 pages, I don't want to go for a movie. So that's the reason. During ISB, I realized that there was a lot of work pressure, and suddenly I felt that I want to do that. Urge of doing something of that time really kick in, and that's why I thought to leave my job rather than leaving my family, and then I continued with my studies. And when I was doing my studies, and then I realizing that I don't have job in hand, and I have so much time in my hand, so I don't know what to do now. And that's when I started consulting few of my folks in the industry who knew me. And then over a period of time, the consultancy started into getting into a bigger business. So the same client said that, hey, you know what, why don't you, help us to do a couple of other things also over and above consulting. And that's how I said, okay, sure, let me take that and let me take. So that's how I started talking to big companies. And then I reached a level that I had to open a company. Otherwise, nobody will deal with me, right? To a personal level, people will deal with you to a certain level. Then after that, I need to have a company. And that's why I opened this company accidentally called Media Alliance. And to be honest, the name also came in because one of my first team member, we were sitting in a room and was like, kya naam rakhenge? And that's how we saw that domain name Media Alliance was available and really made sense, something related to media. And that's how we went with the company name Media Alliance. And that's how that company really started as an ad company, as a consulting and an agency. And the training was always a passion, right? I said in 2003 when I was working with Kaleem Khan sir, and I had that thing in my mind that I want to get into training. So when you start your entrepreneurship journey, you can do a lot of things. We don't need to take approval from anybody, right? So I said, okay, I got an opportunity to teach in one college, and that was the first time I actually faced a crowd of 30 people. And I'm an introvert. I really don't speak. If it's a networking event, I really don't can't talk to people because that's how. Though being in sales, I was always an introvert. And that day I just went for a session, and I just started talking about my experience based on my experience, and I was taking sales session with them. So I had two sessions with them, and suddenly I got a feedback. The dean was very happy, and he said, you would like to do some more sessions with you. And that's where I really got in my I would say a hidden, what do you say, something which I never felt I had. And that's why really made me motivated, because I got so many students calling me and saying, sir, you really helped us, because the way you spoke, the way you gave examples really helped us. And suddenly that gave me a lot of confidence. And from that day onwards, I felt, okay, let me start something. So I started taking a lot of free sessions in my office on Saturdays and Sundays. That gave me experience, and that's something I learned as an entrepreneurship, right? So I don't ask people to pay, and I teach them. So I get experience and they get free learning. And over a period of time, I got a neck, and then word of mouth, few corporates reached out to me and saying that, hey, we heard that you take sessions on digital media. And I said, not really, but I do take some sessions. He said, we'd love to take it for our company. Again, some big company came into picture, and I said, okay, sure, you can do it on my personal name. And there's like, no, we need a company, right? You need all those GSTs and various other things, like all companies require data. I said, okay, then what to do? And that's exactly how I landed up another company called Basecamp Digital. And I mean, it's been what, 3 years plus now. With We have trained more than 3,000 students, 2,000 to 3,000 professionals, and I even trained some 20 plus CXOs. So that's how the Basecamp Digital, and technically that's more of a passion. So you can, I did it at a stretch. I did a training, 8 hours training for 4 days at a stretch. Just wanted to see how much I can speak continuously. And I just enjoyed taking the sessions. And that's how that passion become a money making thing also. So as I said, right, when you start making money from your passion, it's the ultimate game of entrepreneurship. So yeah, sir, that's how both the companies started.
So, sir, I mean, I'm going a little personal here.
Yes.
In the story, I see a lot of self-start, self-motivation. I wanted to do this, but I thought, what will I do in this time? So I thought of doing this.
Yes.
So the question is, have you always been somebody who's been very particular about spending time towards career progression, or it came to you as you know moved further in your career, or maybe you started working in an area which makes you passionate about it?
Yeah, very. I mean, you read my mind. So to be honest, when I was of your age, guys, obviously we had bunch of friends there. We are still close friends, right? 7 of us. And after the class, they used to decide which movie we'll go, which hotel we'll go. In IS, there is candies, right? So we used to spend time saying, candies mein jaake we'll have this and that. And I was one guy who really, Himanshu, you look smart. Himanshu, you're looking smart. Your hair is perfect, buddy. You're looking perfectly fine. Don't worry. Yes. So I'm saying, so at that time, I used to think what I will make and what I will do at the age of 30. And that time I was 22. And that's how I had written my entire thing, saying that at the age of 30, I guess I should make at least X amount of money and I should reach X amount of level. That's how I had planned my, and my friends used to joke at me saying that you gone mad, you're not enjoying life. I said, I'm enjoying. I'm just thinking something which I want to do in life. So to be honest, just to answer your question, yes, I used to think when I was in college as to how I should at the age. And guys, it is very important to have a benchmark for yourself. Okay. A benchmark where you have a goal. Don't share that with anyone. I do that. I tell that with my team. In fact, I'll give you my own example. I had to launch my online training, right? Being in digital, never did that because I learned, I enjoy doing in class, right? Online is not more of fun because, but now we have learned the art. Now it's more fun for our students also. But it took time. So I told Dharmendra, give me a date that I'll finish up all my sessions of 20 hours. And he said 15th April. And I said, done. So that is a goal which was given to me is 15 April, and I started working towards that goal. So the moment you put something as a goal, you don't need to share with anybody. Even if it's like my brother's daughter, my niece is getting a 10th exam, and she's like, I don't know. And I just told her, I said, you know what? Take a paper and write the number which you want to go for. And I said, give that number, put it out there, and every day go and see that number. That's it. And anything you do, just see that will that thing, what you're going to do now for next 2 hours, will that thing add up to that number? Will help to get that number? If yes, go ahead and do it. If no, then don't do it. Right. And that's something I really believe in. And that's exactly what I tell my daughter also. So she's like, oh, I'm very bad at maths. I said, no, that's a mindset. She always felt that she's bad at maths. No, but again, that's a mindset. And I told her, I said, you write a number which you want to score. And I'm just sharing my own personal thing. As of yesterday, my daughter, which was always an average student in mathematics, I just gave her a number. She said, I want to touch 95% in maths, which was big task for her. It took her 1 year. She did a lot of practice. As of yesterday, she got a result from a school. She got 95% in her marks. So guys, mind works in that perspective. That's how mind works. So if you have something as a goal, put it out there, keep reading, keep seeing every day. And if that thing will be in your mind stuck so badly, trust me, you will be able to achieve. So technically, yes, I used to start doing that when I was what, 10, 20 years old. I've been doing those things. I keep writing the goals which I want. Yeah. Like even just to share, sir, even Canada was one thing which was always in my mind. I thought, why not to start something and see if things works out? So always in my mind. But the person I am in, if I get into something, I will put in my 200% effort, but I'll make sure that it happens. It might takes 1 year more, but I will make sure that it happens for sure. That's something. It's what I have always been there in my mind, and I learned that from my dad. Yeah.
So I think some of the pointers which we can draw from what you just said, you know, setting goals,
Yes.
be serious about it,
Yes.
and believe in yourself.
Exactly.
It will happen. It may happen
Yes.
6 months later, 1 year later, but it will happen. But it will not happen had you not set anything for yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So this is one part of it which clearly brings out personality of you, that you're a self-starter, you're self-motivated, you set goals for yourself. That's one part of it, but life is never linear, right?
Yes.
There will always be bumps, there will always be obstacles which you did not imagine, which you did not plan for. So with your first company, with the ad company as well as the digital marketing training company, there must have been several challenges which you would have faced as well, right? So can you think of some of the challenges which you felt were something which you did not imagine or did not plan for or did not prepare for, and how did that affect you? How did that affect that list of goals which you had along with timeline, and how did you handle it?
Yeah. I mean, that to be honest happens every day. In fact, before the sessions also, I just to share with you guys, every day I have set up my office in a way that there is a sunlight which comes every day, right? And I normally keep a lot of lights and everything. When I do a lot of live sessions, I do a lot of trainings and I do a lot of videos. And I thought, now I have sunlight, so I don't need to worry. And I was completely okay. And over here, like 4:30 in the morning, there is a sunlight, right? And today also, this session was going on, supposed to happen. And at 5 o'clock, I got up and it was pitch dark. I was like, shit, I don't have lights. And I have this session. I just moved to my new house. Again, I'm just sharing you an example that if it's a session, I need to be 100%, right? Luckily, I had something which I put it out there. So at least you can see my face. If I switch off the lights here, I just switch on the window. Trust me, you guys will not be able to see. So something in entrepreneurship also, you plan something and suddenly happens something. COVID is another example, right? You never planned and something happened. So all I would say is, always have plan A, plan B, plan C. And if possible, you can have a plan D also ready with you. If this doesn't work, I have something to fall for is this. If that doesn't work, then this, then the third or the fourth. So at least what happens is you have a lot of places where you can actually go back. Even if you fail, you have plan B. If you fail in plan B, you have plan C. And trust me, by plan C, you will succeed. High chances of your success will be very high. So you don't need to have plan D for sure, but always have those plan Ds also ready. So something in business, I would say a lot of things. And just to add here, when you start an entrepreneurship journey, a lot of people will feel that, ye bhi, I can do this also, let me do, and because I'm getting money, so let me do this. I'm getting money here, so let me do that. Don't do that, because that will take away the focus of what you are really into, right? So in today's world, if you see a lot of startups, they're doing good, they're getting a lot of fundings, and suddenly you see that startup is out of business. Why that happened? Why? The reason is because once you are a startup, you see a revenue coming in, and when you are a startup, you need revenue to survive, right? Because end of the day, you need money, you need fuel for your business. And if you don't get fuel, obviously you feel you're not going to survive. And what you normally do is, you start with one focus, saying that, okay, I'm going to do business consulting in digital marketing to people, and that's my focus. And suddenly I don't get clients for a couple of months, and Tapish sir comes and say, hey, you know what, Pritesh, there is something which I want to get it printed. You'll be interested, something related to media or not, I don't know, but I can give you 10,000. Suddenly I start thinking, saying that, okay, I am getting an opportunity of 10,000. Let me go and run there. If I start doing that more, I will lose my focus on something which I really started my business. And then what will happen is revenue will come, maybe a short term revenue, short term gain, long term loss. Instead, go for short term loss, long term gain. Focus on something which you are strong. Make a pillar. Any business, anything like a building, right? If you construct a building, they will go down first. They'll make the pillar and then they'll take the building to the next level, right? Same way, make sure you are very focused in what you do, and then you move on. And once you are focused, once you start making money on that, and you know that you are in a driver's seat, move on to the next project and start adding. So we started as a company which used to do manage campaigns on Google and Facebook only. But in last 7 years, now we do campaign management, we do social media management, we do website development, we do SEO, we do various other things. Oh, we do creatives. So now 7 years ago, only one. Today we have 10, 12, whatever you want on digital, we do it. Why? Because now we focus, we are very strong. We know those stuff where we are very strong and we can continue, and we are starting something very soon. We are going to come up with a new division into e-commerce. Like we started managing e-commerce campaigns. Now we have started developing e-commerce websites. That's something we have never tried, and we are very confident that we can do it. And that is something only when we had focus. And I know that I'm making money in my 7 other department, so the 8 department will be a less of a risk. So always plan it out that way. Yeah, that's how I would do it.
Okay, so extending this a little bit, since we're talking about digital marketing space, it's a service business. So of course, the resources make a very important part of it, because that's how you
Yeah.
deliver products.
Right.
Then there are clients, because that's where you get your money from. And
Right.
then there is something which you really need to catch hold of, which is the technology evolution,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Between these, among these 3 or 4, areas, what do you think is the most challenging, or have been most challenging, let's say, for your startup?
So the challenging has been the technology. To be honest, it keeps changing every day. To be honest, we are talking right now, and take a guess. On Google in a year uh, makes changes to their algorithms. Do you know any guess, guys? Just random guess. Anybody? Maybe Tapish, you can hear. How many times Google change their algorithms in a year?
Sorry,
We have 365 days in a year. So how many times Google change their algorithms
maybe
in a
every day.
year? Every day. So that's what, 365. Google changes algorithm 3,000 times. Somebody's raising hand. Google changes algorithm 3,000 times in a year, right? Or maybe much more than that. So if Google as a company who is into $1 billion, they are making changes. Obviously, we need to be ready with those kind of things. So technology changes is really one of the biggest piece. Competition is out there. To be honest, we have seen people setting up digital agency with no or zero experience, Obviously they are young people, they know how to market themselves on social media. I don't know how to use Snapchat or Instagram, but I'm started using a lot more now, so because we work and we run ads on those platforms. But then what happens is, it evolves so fast. It's very important to keep up to the speed, right? You need to keep reading yourself, and as I said, read and read. At this age also, I read a lot of stuff. We share with our team. Our team share with us a lot of information. And guys, just to share, since a very interesting point came, I was doing this case study at my ISB and something related to Infosys, right? And we all know this company, Infosys, brilliant company, doing amazing, $1 billion, like you can't even think, like listed company and all those things, right? But technically, when you look back, it's a great stuff, no doubt about that. But now just look and understand what they did and how they did. What they did is they knew what the business they were in. The 7 people started Infosys. They knew they were working in a company. They knew that this is going to be the future, and they knew what's going to happen in next 5, 10 years. And then they realized, saying that why don't we start something of our own? And because this is going to be the future. So when you read the data, when you start reading more and more, you will be able to predict what's happening in next few years. And if you start betting on those things, some of the things will work, and then you'll hit the jackpot, right? So read. Changing of data technology for a company for like us in digital, yes, competition, clients always ask for reduction in fees because of various reasons, COVID or non-COVID, they always want to pay you less. Technology is evolving, competition is growing, so that's how you need to keep up to speed with all those things.
So, with you, we have an advantage of having somebody who's worked on both the sides of the table. So you've been in an organization as an employee as well, and then you've also been an entrepreneur, and you've seen this industry, kind of metamorphing into something what it's turned into now, and of course it's going to uh, expand and evolve at a much faster rate in future. But if we'd like to look at, let's say, how this industry was in, let's say, early 2000s and now to 2020, in terms of, let's say, technology, in terms of what client expects from their vendors, or in terms of how the competition has spewed in the industry, what will be some of the stark differences do you see in how things were in, like, say, early or mid 2000s and in 2020?
So the thing is, one of the biggest change which has happened in our digital industry is the growth of smartphones, right? So when I started my career in 2006, people said that, sorry, digital is going to be the future. And to be honest, till 2010, we never saw that future. Okay, the graph was always the small, and suddenly in 2000, the graph increased, and after that, there was no looking back. The reason is because of the smartphone. Smartphone actually changed the entire technology, and a lot of companies, in fact, various big companies had a lot of opportunities to do in the on those smartphones era also. But those companies, big companies, fail. Yahoo is a great example, right? A great company did everything first, but they are nowhere. If you see, by groups of Yahoo, which is your Facebook groups and other LinkedIn groups, they were there in 2006, 2007. So all I'm trying to say is technology is evolving so fast. Products are coming. Technology, the life cycle of the product is really getting shorter and shorter. iPhone launched, or a watch launched, and just 3 months time nobody's talking about it, right? Whereas those CPUs were launched and still people are, some of them are still using it. And that's how, so over a period of time, things are changing at a super fast pace. We can't even think. um, so I would say from 2000 to now, the entire ecosystem has changed, right? It's become very transparent. You cannot hide from any clients, because even you go to a client and say, hey, you know what, I'll give you a click at 5 rupees or 10 rupees. In reality, it's very easy for the client to just figure out from a various platforms like Facebook and Google that actually how much that click cost. So technically, transparency has increased. All those things is a great thing for an industry. So the clients are not taken for a ride. But again, technology is growing. If I just want to give you my perspective, especially from an India perspective, what we normally say is 3 V's, right? Is voice, vernacular, and video. These 3 things is really going to change the entire ecosystem in India, right? And a lot of us are always want to start something in English speaking, but I would say start in regional. The growth of language speaking audience on internet on India are growing at 200%. whereas English is going at only 12%. So in couple of years, the users who are into regional language is going to be way, way, way higher than English speaking, right? So voice, vernacular, and video. These are the three things. If somebody's wanted to start something, jump into this kind of opportunity, and definitely you'll see a big, big sunrise in next few years, especially in India for sure.
Okay, one more thing, because you brought that aspect while answering this question about how the knowledge or expertise of clients have also improved over a period of time, and
Right,
hence the expectations have also grown, right?
right.
So the clients probably do not expect that bare minimum offering which which the industry used to offer, let's say 10 years back, right?
Hmm.
So how has client expectations increased over this period of time? So if somebody is planning to start, let's say hypothetically planning to start a digital marketing agency, uh, on the client size, what should I have on my table, that okay, the client would be looking for these things, and I need to back these things up, with these things. So how has
Yeah.
clients expectations from agencies or digital agencies changed over period?
So, clients' expectation, to be honest, has always been growing. What they used to expect earlier in $100, now they are expecting the same in $20, right? So that's how the entire ecosystem is. So, in terms of requirements, obviously the momentum has really moved fast. Earlier, when we come out with any strategy on social media, we used to have enough time. Now the expectation is like I need it in next couple of days, and the strategy should be such that you tell them the end goal of sales, right? So earlier client were not really asking for a sales from digital, but now every client, if you see, they're expecting, if I'm going to spend $10, how much sales I'm going to get. So that's how client has also evolved. They also know it. And to be honest, even clients are learning. Like a lot of people at senior level at clients, they're not really aware about how digital works. But then the young audience coming, young people coming in their team, they're also getting much equipped with a lot of information. So earlier it was easy if you want to play around with client and take that extra time and everything, but now it's not. It's going to be very open. Client knows much more than you, because everything is out there, right? There is nothing as secret. Everything is available online. Earlier obviously there was no social media, so you have to do your own research. Now just go online, just Google it, and you'll get thousands of articles related to what you're talking about. So you can't really bluff if you're doing something. So those challenges, where I say, if you're planning to do something of an agency kind of thing, you need to be really good in what you're going to offer to your client and really tell why you are different compared to others, because there are millions of such other agencies out there. So those are the things. It's very transparent, it's very quick, and client knows everything right now before you can even tell anything to client.
Okay. One last thing on how things have changed in last 20 years would be on the competition side.
Right,
Now, it being a service business, the capital investment is not huge. I mean, somebody
right,
can start a very
right.
niche digital service agency. Does this also mean that the competition has increased exponentially, or you think that there have been many niches in which different agencies offer, and still there is the pie is big enough for everybody, or you think that competition is intense now?
Competition is definitely intense now. To be honest, not only in agency, in any business. So that doesn't mean you don't start your business. If you believe in yourself, if you have your ideas and really have the right kind of resources, I would say just jump. Not necessary. If somebody cannot do it, you cannot do it. Not like that for sure. So you need to have your own clear focus and line of sight. And I would say competition is even there on coaching. Like for example, everybody on Instagram I see is coaching. Instagrams, people I've seen with 5,000 followers or even few hundred followers, everybody's an Instagram coach. They're actually going and teaching someone. But what I feel is, I mean, I'm not saying they're bad, but the only thing is they just jump the things because they felt there is an opportunity. Whenever you start a business with an aim to make money, trust me, you'll never make money. Okay. And any startup, if you see, if a startup starts with with a mindset of selling my business to somebody and make money, you will run your business with that perspective only. You will only show something which is good. You'll not really have a strong pillar. This is what I firmly believe. If you believe that you want to take your startup to a different level and really keep growing that startup, your startup will be completely different. I work with a lot of startups, and the founders will say, oh, my intention is very clear. Let me reach to a certain level and I'll sell it off that company. I'll never invest in that company. The reason is because the startup founders aim is very clear. They want to make money and push off. So the way you're going to sugarcoat your entire proposal is going to be very different. Instead, if you see your own blood, like you need to run your business as if you're going to run for next 100 years. Maybe your next few generation will keep running your business. That's how your pillar of a business should be. Otherwise, you are just making a business to sell it out, and that's one of the reason why so many startups are getting failed, right? In spite of getting so much funding. So those are the kind of things which are very, very critical. So everybody is a coach. There is intense competition, no doubt. But I feel if you do it in the right way, if you are consistent, you will 100% see the light which you are supposed to get it, and you will get that kind of success. Don't worry with those competition. But all I'm saying is just don't be a me too. If somebody is doing it, let me also try it. Doesn't make sense. If you feel you can do it, you can, like, 24 by 7, 365 days, if you can do that stuff, just jump into it, because over a period of time you will definitely see result.
Okay. So we did talk about the technology evolution. We talked about how the client's expectations have changed, and we also just talked about the competition getting intense. So then the most logical question after that would be how conducive it is in these times to start up in a digital marketing space.
I would say there is always no wrong time. You can always start. And as I said, that you can start your business from your own room. You don't need any space. And digital world, to be honest, my own example, right? Basecamp Digital, we used to take sessions in person. Now we take all our corporate training sessions in online, and it works pretty well. So technically, if you're good at something, again, it all boils down to what I said in the start: read, read, and read. If you're really good, and guys, you know what? The biggest advantage which you can get, which others will not get, is the human behavior is such that we don't read. Nobody reads. The reality of life. Nobody reads. Okay. And I can tell you, every batch of mine is full. Why? Because people pay for me to tell them knowledge which directly goes into their mind and they can implement. Technically, what I'm teaching, it's all available on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere it's available. Go and online on YouTube and search how digital marketing works or courses on digital marketing. There are so many free courses available, right? But then obviously that doesn't mean I'll not start my business. But I started my business and I said there will be a certain way I'm going to teach, and that's going to be my USP. So today, word of mouth has become so big for me that I keep getting lots and lots of clients. All my corporate clients, whatever we have signed, is all through word of mouth, not through an advertising. Though I know I'm in advertising industry, but word of mouth is the strongest. So if you believe in what you're going to do it in the right way, and as I said, make sure your knowledge is really, really high. And then it will be very easy for you to catch up the things. Like, for example, I told you, right? If you do something on voice, it's really going to give a lot of advantage. Like, I don't know how many of you guys use voice search. How many of you guys, just show of hands, how many of you guys, out of the 100 searches you do in a month, all the hundreds are on voice search? Or maybe how many of you guys are extensive on voice search on Google? Like only voice search? Hardly any, right? And we are talking about voice search. So you guys must be feeling that I'm just bluffing. But reality of life, this is when I go to Rizvi. I used to teach you guys at Rizvi also. And I used to ask my students saying that how many of you do only voice search? Hardly 1 or 2% will raise the hand. Then where the hell the voice search is growing? But go to your place. There will be a kid, will be 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. Ask them whether you do a voice search or you actually type. All of them will say voice search, right? I learned this from my daughter. To be honest, I teach digital, and one day she was doing some science question, and I was typing on Google, and she's like, "Oh, hold on, what are you doing? Why are you typing such a big long question?" And she's like, "Okay, Google," and she said, I was like, "Wow, I never thought about it." I said, I myself don't do it, but they are doing it. So if you're planning to do something in voice search, if you ask all your friends, everybody will say, any waste hai, voice search ko karta nahi hai, it's a waste of time, don't get into voice search. But reality, that's not your audience. Your audience is the guy or a girl who's 10 years. In next 10 years, they are going to be the person who's going to have a purchasing power, and they're going to be your future customer. And if they are on voice search, you better be on voice search. So that's a simple example that how you need to start thinking, not from your perspective or people around you. You need to start thinking from your audience perspective, your customer perspective, who are going to be and how they're going to be. So if you ask me, in next 5 years, voice is going to rule. We are going to be a small portion who are going to be in typing. So we'll always have an opportunity to type. But like a lot of time, right? The way we use our mobile and our parents use our mobile, we use extensively, they don't use it. Same way, they will use extensive voice search. We will not use voice search. But those are the people who going to be the future. And that's how companies like Google and Facebook going to make money from them. So that's how technology is evolving. So those are the kind of stuff which is happening. Yeah.
I think brilliantly put, sir. There is one point which I would want to emphasize on, which you just said. A lot of us, when we think about starting up or creating a new product or service, we'd look around and we'd see, acha, this is something we can do. We'll imagine. Instead, look at how customers would be behaving in, let's say, next 5 or 10 years, and
Right.
create a product for them 10 years from
Exactly.
now or 5 years from now. And I think this is a brilliant takeaway from that point.
Yeah,
Sir,
and also one part just to add, sir. Lot of times now we don't like devil's advocate, right? You guys all know devil's advocate. Like I have some idea, I go to Tapis sir, "Ma'am, sorry, this is what I'm planning. What do you think?" Tapis sir says, "Brilliant idea. I like Tapis because he's actually echoing what I want." Okay, and I go to Shreyas and ask Shreyas, "Hey Shreyas, what do you think?" Shreyas, are you serious? Are you out of your mind? This will never work. This is so crazy. There are 10 things I can identify which will never work. I don't like Shreyas. Why? Because he's not doing or reading what I want to do. We always look out for a people who are like-minded because I want social proof to do something. Then I'll say, oh, Tapish told me, definitely that's how I'm going to do it. Don't go with that. Instead, I would say go with Shreyas because devil's advocate will make you tough, will give you tough questions, will not be able to answer. But if you learn something to answer those and go back to Shreyas and say, hey, what do you think now? It's like, now it makes sense. Chances of your survival will be very high. So we normally run from devil's advocate kind of people. So the guy who are very critical to your idea, go to a guy who will rip off your idea. Don't go to a guy who will always say, like for example, if you're starting business, don't go to your parents and say, Papa, Mommy, I'm going to start my business. They're always going to support this. They'll always give you money. Go to a person who will rip you off and then ask that person. Like I start something, I go to my few friends and I say, okay, start killing this idea completely. Ask questions. And you know what? They ask so many questions. That is my Bible to make sure that when I start my business, all those things are taken care. And if that is taken care, trust me, you are game. Then you are not going to fail for sure. So now you started taking calculative risk. So that's the difference which I would say. And second thing, if you're starting your own business, I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs, they raise 5 lakhs and they are on cloud nine because they raise 5 lakhs and they feel, oh, somebody approved it and say funded money. I said, you are a foolish because you gave away your equity to somebody in just 5 lakhs. There is something called as friends, family, and that is triple F funds, right? FFF. But normally in real world, in angel investors world, we always call as friends and family funds. But there is friends, family, and fools. There are three the people. Fools are the one who initiate and put money. Like for example, Tapish sir is something coming up with something. He's a great friend. I know he'll be successful because of his pedigree and my relation with him. I pump money. Tapish's parents will pump money. That's friends and family. And then there are fools who just feel that अच्छा Tapish ने कुछ बताया अच्छा बोला है डाल दो. So those are the kind of funds, right? So always make sure you go after friends, family, and fools. I will not say nobody says fools, but it's always called friends and family funds. Go for that funds first. The reason when you start a company, they will not ask you 10 questions. They will not tell you that, oh, where is your sales going? They will not be on your head saying that, hey, you know what, go and take that extra thing. Don't be so much focused on only two things rather than go for the other two things where you're making money, because they are not going to ask you those questions. They are friends and family. If I give 5 lakhs to Tapish in his business, I'm not going to keep calling every month saying, can you tell me what is the sales? Oh, it's okay. I know him. There's more of a relation. I'm sure he'll make it good for me. And tomorrow, for God forbid, things doesn't work, my relation is not going to go away because it's okay. I bid my bet and it doesn't work. That's how I have also burned my hands. But the moment you go to an investor, they will force you and tell you everything what you need to do it. Oh, you know what? Why don't you go there and talk to them? Or maybe you need to start doing this, a couple of other things also, because a lot of people are doing and they're seeing revenue. So suddenly your focus is started getting loose. And that is one of the reasons a lot of startup has actually failed, because these founders don't have ability to run the business the way they want. Instead, they run the business as per the investors, and then there is no game. You don't enjoy, now there is no passion. Then there is no feel like Tendulkar ko jabardasti say, if I go and tell Tendulkar, you know what, cricket is going to take time, go and play kabaddi. Tendulkar will not be smart in kabaddi. But just because I pumped money in Tendulkar, I'll say, no, I need, because I'm getting an advertiser on kabaddi. You better go and play kabaddi. Output will be zero. He will fail because it's not good for that. He's not meant for that. So that's why always, if you're starting business, put your skin in the game, put your own money, put your own efforts, put your own money first, and try to make sure you have your own equity. Zerodha is one of the example, right? Those guys were making money, making big salary, a lot of fuss about all those things. They earned it. They have not raised equity. They have not taken money from anybody. They can have entire money to themselves because that's their own business. That's not like private equity funded or a VC funded. That's the difference. So if somebody comes and say, I want to pump money, run away from that person.
Brilliant, sir. So I think very many bits and pieces about how you would run it to make it successful. But sir, I'm sure you would also seen a lot of examples of people starting up in digital marketing space, failing, shutting shop, and going back.
Yeah.
What are the common reasons for those kinds of, I don't know, I don't want to call them failures, but those kinds of outcomes when people come in and had to shut their shop and go back?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there is nothing wrong in that, to be honest, because I would always say, and I keep telling my team, saying that keep trying things, fail in this, but make sure you learn from the failure, right? That failure will teach you something which, trust me, even management college will not teach you. That's the biggest advantage of the failure. And in today's world, I guess I always give more weightage to the person who has tried something of their own. Like, if I had to hire a person who has done a business, failed in the business, I would hire that guy rather than a guy who has a good score in his college degree, because I know that guy has an appetite to risk. Like Google does that, right? People who have done entrepreneurship, and even if they fail, they're fine to hire those kind of people because they think differently. They are able to take the risk. So failure will be there, part and parcel of life. What is critical is to move on, is what I would say, and learn from those failures. That is how I would take it. And yes, there is, like, I wouldn't say, we've also tried lot many things and it didn't work, and then we go back and say why it didn't work. That is very important, to understand why it didn't work. So that's the learning which nobody will do. Like, for example, I started business, I worked with few people, started getting into partnership, didn't work. It was a failure. I mean, I learned that how not to do business with people who are not like you, like-minded. So those are the things is completely, uh, uh, it's more of a learning. You don't, I mean, nobody should feel shy. I have my friends who started their own companies, didn't work, COVID hit, they went back to work. I don't think so there is anything bad about it, but then he learned as to how not to do certain things.
So this is more about, somebody putting himself or herself into this, and because of circumstances or because of any other thing, it not working out. But on the other hand, what have you seen from your experience that it did not work because of this one, two, or three reasons? So
Okay.
what are those aspects?
Okay. So to be honest, if you take too much on your plate, then you can eat, you will fail, because you will not able to give a client's expectation. Okay. And we have done that. To be honest, we also failed in certain things where we felt, oh, we can do it. I guess we failed because we didn't had enough time to put that kind of advantage, or that much efforts. So that will fail. So that's one. Second is, if you're not really focused on something, it's just you're doing it because you're seeing there is a value and let me just jump into it, then you're going to fail. Then you definitely, so you need to have a proper planning in place about anything you jump into it. If you don't have proper planning, very high chance of you failing. And you're just starting something or doing something just because somebody else is doing it, you will fail, because somebody else is doing it for 10 other reasons. Maybe they have done some 10 failures and they've learned from it and they are doing it. They're not going to come and tell you those things. They're just going to tell you something which is been seen. So a couple of those things are very critical when you are doing some kind of business. If you're not focused, if you have too much things on your plate, it is good to say no to business rather than taking the business and failing into it. Because if you fail, word of mouth will kick in and that will be really negative. Instead, do a less job, but make sure you do 100% job. So those are the kind of things we need to keep in. Like, for example, a lot of time client comes to us and say, hey, we want to spend 5 lakhs rupees and we want this 5 things. And we go back to them and say, you know what, you will not get this 5 things, you'll get only these 2 things. It might be harsh to them, But we tell them, I said, no, no, no. And a lot of time it happens, right? Salespeople have that attitude where saying, no problem, sir, we'll do it. But then at that time I got the money, but later on it's okay, we'll figure it out. Never do that when you're doing a business, because you'll definitely fail, because there is a gap between expectation and delivery. So if there is a gap between expectation and delivery, things will fail. And other things which I feel is regular interval communication with your client is also very critical. In today's world, even if you're doing a great job, if people don't know, your client don't know about the updates or anything, they're going to come back to you one day and say, hey, you know what? I don't even know what you guys are doing. And I was like, no, no, we are doing so many things. They're like, no, I don't think so. I don't see any mails from you or anything. So I guess it's not really working. And then I go to show them these are the 20 things. It's more of a defensive mechanism rather than being, progressive. So never do that. Always make sure you tell your clients about the wins you're doing, positive things you're doing, because in the mindset in people's mind, right? So if I have 20-member team, there will be one guy I don't even know, I don't even interact with him any day, but that doesn't mean that person is not working. I go to my team and it's like, yeah, that guy, I never see his mail. What exactly is doing? Do we need that guy? That's how we all think, because I don't know what he's doing. But the moment I keep getting updates about those people, I know that there is something this person is doing. So I'm not going to take that hasty call of asking that person to go. Same way with the clients. Make sure you keep communicating them on a regular basis. Make sure you show them the path as to how things are going to work out in next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. So those are the things that are very critical from a perspective.
Sir, one question which a lot of students always have in mind, not specific to digital marketing space, but all other spaces wherever they want to go for an entrepreneurial stint. How important is prior work experience? And even if it is it a compulsion or a mandate that you should not get into? And let's specifically talk about a digital marketing service kind of a thing, that you should not get into it without having a prior experience. Is it something like that, or you can still manage out of it even if you don't have
Uh,
work experience?
Yeah, I would say in digital, I would always say work experience always help. The reason is because you don't need to be a techie. I'm not a techie at all. I'm zero. So there is a myth where you're in digital, you need to be an engineer or a techie. I don't know anything about technology, to be honest. So it doesn't matter if you're a techie or not, but the experience always help, because the industry is so large. There are so many different, what do you say, aspects and components of digital marketing, which one needs to know, and that is always possible when you are in the job. I mean, I'm not saying that that's the only thing. So you can even learn through various courses, but hands-on experience with job always make a big difference. That's my view, is what I feel. Because and again, I've seen a lot of coaches on Instagram. Okay, so I see some coaches who have experience in some field, and they're doing coaching, they're doing it much maturely and smartly just because they have few experience. And I've seen some coaches just passed out of college and they become on Instagram and they started posting every day, and they got 10,000 followers. Obviously people will reach out to you, you will might get some wins, but then you need to think that, will you be able to continue this for next 10 years? If the answer is yes, go ahead and do it. But if answer is no, then obviously you need to think back and realizing that, okay, this is going to be for short term. How I need to make sure that my pillars are strong for long term. So even if you got few clients on board, you don't have experience, I would always urge to go and keep reading. Like today also, we keep reading a lot about digital marketing. Like I myself learn Instagram, we run ads, but organically how to grow, all those things. I myself is learning on a daily basis. I share with my team shares with me, and then we do those things and we regularly keep updating ourselves. If you don't do that, then definitely it's not going to help. So technically, out my perspective as a person, I felt work experience always helps to understand various aspects of life in even jobs, and then jumping in it is much easier. I would say it will be more calculative risk if you have work experience, because before starting a business, I would say always have couple of clients ready with you, right? Because when you jump, trust me, if I go to a client and say, hey, you know what, I'm planning to start my own company in next 1 year or maybe next 2 months, everybody will say, yeah, yeah, you start, I'm there, I'll give you my business. Okay. If I and then the time came and I go to that guy and saying, hey, I've started my company, can you give business? You will see 10 different reasons for not giving you business. People will run away. So always make sure that if you are starting a company, make sure at least you have one or two clients before you start a company. So you have something to fall for. And I've given this advice to a very senior person, and sorry, she's also appreciating, because I learned that nobody taught me that. But I learned that if you have one or two clients who are ready to do business with you before even you're launching your business, you are in a different environment altogether. You don't need to worry about business because you already have something to do on day zero of your business. And one other thing with Tapeshwar, which I would like to say is, after being an entrepreneur, I realized how many real friends I have. because a lot of times, sorry, you have friends because you are at Facebook. You have friends because you are a MD of Komli. You have friends because you are at Yahoo. Trust me, so guys, it might hit you very hard. But I can tell you, after starting my business, I realized that I only real 5% of 4 people maximum I can rely on. And I'll be honest, I mean, we are recording this. I don't feel shy. Some of my team members who are obviously they are doing good in their business somewhere, they were also show. I actually saw. I mean, I saw the real world. And okay, this is how. I mean, I thought this guy was a big fan of mine, but that was only because of my designation and my company name, company tag behind me, not because of me. If that person goes and somebody else comes, they go to them. Reality of life. Okay, I post every day on LinkedIn. Okay, I have all my colleagues, all my team members, everyone on LinkedIn. They will never give me one like on my post. You know why? That's the reality of life. That's the harsh reality of reality. Because usko मैं like दूंगा, he'll get more weightage, मुझे नहीं देना है. Nobody wants to see other person's success. Reality of life.
This is
And I
crazy.
learned those 5 people. And trust me, one other thing which I learned from entrepreneurship, some people I never expect they're going to help me. They actually came and helped me. I was like, shit, I never thought this guy will ever help me in my life. And those guys came and helped me. So that was the learning of entrepreneurship. So don't expect too many friends when you start your entrepreneurship journey. Because in reality of life, when you're on Facebook, all of you guys, your dopamine level is so high, all you see is negativity. Everybody's on Facebook is very happy, right? It is a happy world. Nobody's upset on Facebook or Instagram. Everybody's enjoying the life. Everybody's having good food. Do you think that's the reality? No, that's not the reality. Everybody has a lot of issues in life. Nobody shows that on Facebook. So don't go with that mindset. On Facebook, the moment you go or any social media platform, your negativity level is always very high. So I would always do that. I have removed all the toxic people from my life. I don't follow them on Facebook. I don't see their updates on Facebook because that's
Pritesh, you are on mute. Uh,
so. I would say
Again, you're on mute.
okay. Is it okay now? Okay.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
would say stay away from those negativity. Follow the right people. I follow people whom I learn on Facebook, right? I follow the right kind of people on Instagram. I follow the right kind of people on LinkedIn. Maybe they are not my friends, but at least I learn from them. I don't feel bad. So stay away from the people or negative, toxic people because they're not going to do anything good for your life. And yeah, those are the things what I would say. So don't expect too many friends when you start entrepreneur. You'll get real friends you'll know when you start your entrepreneurship journey.
It's a good real world advice, Pritesh sir.
Yes, that's the reality of life. Trust me.
And now bringing it back to the digital marketing space, if we have a lot of students with us,
Yes.
what are the top skills do you think these guys need to, equip themselves with if they are looking at a career in digital marketing and specifically towards entrepreneurship?
Okay. So digital marketing has various components. I don't want to bore you guys with all the different components. There is again, one thing which I want to tell you, and I give that advice to a lot of people. A lot of time I see people say that, hey, you know what, I want to start my career in digital marketing. And the question I ask, why? Oh, I spend time on Facebook, Instagram. I love Facebook. I love Instagram. I love Snapchat. And that's why I want to start. Don't do that. If you do that, you will fail. You will not like it, right? And I'll give you an analogy, very simple. You go to a 5-star hotel and you love the ambience, right? You get everything at a click of a button. You ask something, the guy is there to help you. You ask for a coffee, you'll get extra biscuits with it. You say that coffee is not good, they'll get you a new coffee without charging you extra. They make your experience very amazing, right? That's the great experience. And that doesn't mean I want to work in 5-star hotel, because when you go to a 5-star hotel, you are a receiver. So when you are on Facebook as a user, you're a receiver. You are just spending time for fun. But when you are in work, you want to work in a 5-star hotel, you don't see those yellow lights, you see white lights in the kitchen. And that reality is very different from what you see outside. There is a guest who is receiving, there is a person who's giving the service. So when you work on a digital, you're going to give service. You're going to not work on the Facebook which you see now on your face. You see actually something which is much behind, which is more of Excel sheets and a dashboard. So that's the reality. So when somebody comes to me and say, I want to work in digital world, I say reality of life, welcome to digital world. You don't see your Facebook newsfeed, you see only dashboards. That's Facebook for you. Or that's Instagram for you. You only see analytics, that's Instagram for you. That's not the Instagram where you upload your picture and put a new filter and see how many likes you got. No, that's not digital world. So if you're thinking that's a digital world and you want to start your career, don't get into it.
So,
Okay. And the components,
sorry, please
sorry.
continue.
And the components, I would say tons of components. Don't need to learn everything at one go. There is SEO, there is search engine marketing, there is social media, there is mobile analytics, there is web analytics, there is mobile marketing, there is e-commerce, there is programmatic, there is content marketing, various other things. So there are lots and lots of opportunity. You identify what really works well for you and take that niche and get more deep dive into it and start making your career. And each of these components you can make your career. I've seen people making the career only in SEO. I've seen people making career only in search engine marketing. I've seen people making career only in social media. I've seen people making career in only content marketing. So learn the different, but I would urge you guys to learn all the components first. Because I don't know right now which components is really my calling. So learn all the components, get into it, see what really excites you, and then deep dive more into it and keep reading more and more about it. Yeah.
Sir,
And you can, yeah.
this is extremely important for people trying to work in digital space. If I kind of segregate it from working in digital space and starting a digital agency or a digital marketing service agency, what additional skills do you need if you want to start up in the space?
So startup in the space, again, I would say knowledge about the industry is very critical, because when you're going to a client, they're expecting that you know everything, right? So get as much knowledge as possible. And to be honest, if you want to start, you don't really need money. All you need is your time. That's it. All you need is your time. And if you've read something, you know how to do it, just keep, like, for example, I keep posting every day on Instagram, right? I keep posting lots and lots about information related to digital on Instagram. I keep doing it because a lot of my students and a lot of my corporate training company participants, they keep saying where we can reach and get more information. So I do all those things a lot. So I do it because I read it. I just can't copy it from somebody and put it. So you keep doing those things, and moment over a period of time, you'll start seeing people reaching out to you and saying that, hey, you know what, you do this, I would be interested in what kind of service you provide. And that's exactly how you get your first client. So starting anything on digital is not going to be tough at all. But what I would say is, make sure you get really, really, really strong in that particular field. Like I see a lot of personal coaches on Instagram, right? I see thousands and thousands of personal coaches, but there are few personal coaches, young guys like you, they are really good. I actually learn from them that how they, but what they've done is they have identified a focus area and they deep dive into that focus area completely. So ask anything about personal coaching, they know everything. So do that and then start your company, rather than just starting just because somebody's doing it, let me also start. No, that will not, that's a half baked, it will not really work. Instead, get that 100% knowledge, do all your research, keep reading about it, and then ask yourself, can you create content every day on this line? If yes, then go ahead and jump for it.
Okay. So you did talk about the three V's, the video, vernacular, and right?
Voice.
Voice.
Yeah.
Now, are these trends for now, or are these trends for, let's say, next 5, 10, or 20 years? 20 is too far, especially in digital marketing. Nobody can predict that. Let's say 5 or 10 years from now, if somebody is trying to build a career in digital marketing space, or let's say starting up in a digital marketing space, are these trends for now, or you're saying these are the trends which we're going to see in next 5 or 10 years grow up? Or what other trends do you think, one need to follow up or learn about if somebody wants to start in this space?
So these trends are going to be there for next, I mean, obviously 10 years, you will see huge importance because of these trends, for sure. If you're starting some, like, for example, see this company, I don't know, how many of you guys are on ShareChat? Anybody know this company called ShareChat? Anybody?
Show of hands.
Anybody know this company called ShareChat? I mean, one or two, right? See that this is the difference, right? Everybody knows Instagram or WhatsApp or Snapchat. Everybody. ShareChat is one company, started as a language company. When you go on ShareChat, you don't get an English as an option. But that company is into $1 billion valuation. It's an Indian company started in 2015 by an IITian, got the biggest, Twitter has invested $100 million in that company, right? So that's the example for you guys, right? So clearly none of you guys are aware of our ShareChat, but that is some company which is growing so fast, which even you guys are not even aware, being in this young audience. So this is how you need to, so again, just to share, sir, that's a vernacular, right? So voice, vernacular, and video. So these are the three things. Voice is something like, if you're an engineer and you want to create an app, like app as an ecosystem, right? Today we see you go to an app store, you get millions of app. Same way on voice also, you can create your own app and you can put it out there, and that's how people will start using those apps. So that's an opportunity over there. And video is something, we are recording this, I'm going to repurpose it, put it across YouTube and other place. It's video. If I'm good at something, some of you guys must be a good comedian, stand-up comedian, or maybe making good recipe videos, or maybe doing 10 other things, right? And that's an opportunity, like YouTube, right? I've seen influencers making millions of dollars only from making something which they like. I know this guy called Dil Se Foodie. I follow him. He's an amazing guy. He's a guy, obviously 12th pass out, or he's not really finished his studies. I was just reading, watching his video, and he's amazing. He's a guy who's making crazy amount of money. In his video, he said he pays tax of 7 figures. And that guy has been very consistent in something which is food related. So again, it's a video. He started creating videos. You go to streets, ask videos, and very raw videos. He really don't have the studio kind of videos, but that's exactly what people like. And he gives information about street foods. And I've seen him growth from last 5 years. I follow him from last 4 or 5 years. That guy has become a very big influencer. So all the big celebrity chef wants to take a picture with him. The vice versa, right? This big celebrity, earlier he wants to take picture with the big celebrity chef. Now big celebrity chef calls him for something because he's a very known face in the industry related to food. So again, that's a video. So there are various examples, various ways. It's up to you where you fit in and then jump into it. So this is going to be for long. And the other big piece which is really coming is AI. Artificial intelligence is really going to be big. You're going to see, right now we are seeing only Tesla as the auto car. Everything is going to be automated. Everything is going to be, you can't even imagine it's going to be automated. Yeah. So those are the kind of stuff it's going to happen.
Sir, since you just talked about artificial intelligence piece also fitting into digital marketing,
Right.
and with that also comes machine learning and
Exactly.
NPL and all that. Does that make digital marketing a place only for hardcore tech guys
No.
in future?
So that's what I'm saying, right? The end of the day, they will need someone. Like I am a sales guy. I'm a strategy guy. I'm a coach. Everybody needs somebody. As I said, right? You need someone to complement you rather than the same field. If I get all the engineers together and tell them to make a platform, but not what next? Who's going to go out in the market and talk about it? So technically, no, you don't need to be a tech savvy or something. Yes, if you have an advantage of technology where you are an engineer, I would always urge that you can be smart enough that you can create something of your own and you can make a big opportunity out of it, like the way Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Google House started. That's an advantage which me as a sales guy never had because I'm a BCom graduate, right? So that's an extra advantage they can have, but not necessarily you need to have a technology background or something. You don't need to learn machine learning, but you can give ideas which can help you to make a better product, and their engineer will build that kind of product for you.
Okay. With this, we'd come to the end of the questions from my side, but we'll take questions from students. So
Sure.
we're open for questions from students. If there are any students who would like to ask any specific questions specific to, starting up in digital marketing space, or, what is the right way to do it, etc., whatever you have in your mind. So we are open for questions if there are any questions. You can do a show of hands and I'll ask you if there is a question.
You must be bored and tired of my lecture.
Or maybe you solved everything, so there's no question left. I'd like to look at it that way.
No, guys, ask as many questions as possible. Happy to answer. whatever it is. Don't think there is no question is a dumb question. So please go ahead.
Sir, I mean, by the time we have somebody ask this question, there's one which I left because I thought maybe I'll keep some time for students. So I'll maybe ask that. In the digital marketing space per se, what are the teething troubles you see somebody starting? Let's say somebody wants to start up an agency, or let's say in next month or next week or tomorrow. What do you think would be the first few challenges he or she will face in the first 6 months or 12 months and we need to be prepared for?
To be honest, nothing from digital, but only thing is to set up your own company. At least now it takes a couple of months. Earlier when I started, it to take 6-8 months, but now it just take a couple of months. There are a lot of teething issues, guys. As an entrepreneur, I mean, I've seen a lot of people wasting time. My company name should be this, my logo should be this. Doesn't matter. Trust me. Go ahead with any company, go ahead with any name, go ahead with some logo. But what is really critical is just start. Be very focused what you want to get into it. If you want to be only search engine optimization company, that's completely fine. But make sure you are 100% into search engine optimization. And when you go to a client, you can actually show them value, right? You can do free audits for them before you go to them and tell them what are the 5 things which they should do better. And that will help them. So create your complete plan, create your strategy as to how you're going to do it and how you're going to show result to the client. Make sure it is result oriented, because anything on digital will be result oriented. You cannot just say that, oh, it's happening. No, it's all out there. Data will be able to seen. I mean, measurements is always out there. People will know how many people came onto your website after making those changes. All those things are very critical. So make sure you are completely transparent. Make sure you are up to speed as far as technology is concerned. Make sure you are aware about what are the changes going to happen in the industry, and accordingly ask your clients to get implemented it. So all those things are very critical. And as far as funds are required, technically digital marketing will not require that much funds unless and until I mean, you have couple of clients on board and you have a very strong backing in terms of what you want to really start into.
Okay. Yeah. So we are open for questions if there, though we have short up the time. So maybe we can take only 1 or 2 questions if at all there are.
Yeah.
Sir, in the meantime, if students want to connect with you or would want to learn more about digital marketing or maybe, your company and all, is there a way how they can reach out to you, sir?
Yes, there are a couple of ways, Dharam, you might have to help here. And obviously I'm there extensively every day posting on LinkedIn. I'm there on Instagram. And we have a lot of blogs we keep writing on our websites. There you can be part of it and keep learning about various industry stuff and updates, which I keep doing it on a regular basis. So I'm extensively regular on 2 platforms right now, on LinkedIn and Instagram for sure. Yeah. So these are the 2 platforms which they can follow me, or they can just go and check my profile. They'll know all the amount of information happening on digital world. So I try to keep all the updates also about what's trends happening, what are the new stuff happening. I give my perspective on various other things happening on digital media, and I give a lot of I would say free knowledge also, as create content for the community about certain things like free tools to use, what are the best way to target on Facebook, and various other things which I really like the most, and I put those things on Instagram. Yeah.
Tapishar, if you could give me the host, I'll just share the handles.
Yes, please. Yes, please, Dharmin. Once again.
Yeah, and with Dharam's idea, because we have a lot of requests from our past students and everyone, where they can get some kind of reports and all. So we've recently opened Telegram also. So where we have huge amount of people in just 2 days we have got. So that is also something we're going to share a lot of reports and everything.
Yeah, guys. Yeah,
go ahead, Dharam.
No, so in case you want to, get on LinkedIn and follow Pritesh. So what we have done, we have created a QR code. So I mean, I'm not able to see the screen, but if you can raise your hand, how many of you use QR code, to add in people or to send a request for LinkedIn?
Yeah, so the guys, again, this is the technology, right? All you need to do is go to your LinkedIn, click on the QR code, and instantly you'll get. So again, a technology plays a crucial role. You don't need to carry your cards. All you need to do is just scan the QR code and you'll get connected. That's how
it takes us to your profile, LinkedIn profile.
Correct, exactly. Link to your LinkedIn profile. So that's something, again, this is all my team does it. I don't really think being in digital for so many years, but the young people really teach how to really use the digital. So Instagram was also, I was not very active, but again, my team said that why don't we put out there, because a lot of people get that kind of knowledge and advantage. So that's why we started this handle called my own name, which is priteshpatel.co. I have my own website also. So whenever you guys need any help or anything, any questions, feel free to reach out. We'll be more than happy to help you.
Okay. Dharmen sir, can I take the host?
Yes, please, sir. I'll just stop here.
Okay. Great.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so with this, I think we've consumed an hour and a half. We initially planned for 45 minutes to 1 hour, as I had spoken to Pritesh sir, but I think it was pretty exhaustive. And as Pritesh sir and Dharmen sir have also shared, the link, LinkedIn profile, Instagram profile, you can also connect. Pritesh sir do share a lot of stuff on LinkedIn and Instagram, very interesting stuff. Today I read he wrote something about, I think, the cookies being delayed. Yeah.
So
And
Google
right
has
after
delayed the
that,
cookies.
there
Yeah.
were multiple notifications I got from different news websites about the same thing. So remarketing working really well.
Yes.
Okay, so that would be all from my side. If there are no questions, we'll close it. I'll still keep it. Umar sir, you want to add something?
Sajid has
No,
some
I guess
question, I guess.
Sajid has a
once we
question.
have student question, I would like to maybe address Pritesh sir and
Yes,
the
please.
audience for a
I think
minute.
Sajid has a question. Let's take that question and I'll come back to you, Umar sir.
Good evening, sir. I'm
Hello.
Sheikh
Hi,
Sajid.
sir. Hi.
Sir, I just want one question from you. Sir,
Yes,
which book
please.
should I refer for digital marketing? And second one, sir, which course should I do online? So can you suggest someone?
Okay, brilliant. So you know what? Hold on for some time. Don't read any books, to be honest. The reason is because books goes outdated. Books, so problem क्या है मालूम? छपी है ना book. Digital, as I said, right, changes every day, and you can't keep publishing book every day. So don't waste your time on book. And as far as course is concerned, again, I'm going to be a sales guy here. Hold on for 1 week's time. I'm launching my own course online, so you can take the advantage. I'll give you special discount.
Wonderful.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Ragib, ask your question, Ragib.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Hi. Good evening.
Hello, sir. Sir, I want to know, as you are salesperson,
Yes.
means I want to know your experience as a salesperson in which you work in times of India,
Right.
because I'm interested in sales.
Okay. So if you are going to be sales, you're going to be self-motivated, okay? Because nobody's going to come and motivate you. Everybody's going to come and hammer you with your targets and numbers. One rule is very clear: be self-motivated. Your best of the buddy will be making his money and his targets will be achieving, but it is just that one hammer against those 10 small hammers, right? So if your one hammer is strong enough, you'll make it up for your entire month. So all I would say as an advice to a salesperson, don't expect any kind of motivation. Be self-motivated and just be persistent in what you do. That's it. If you do that, and again, read. Make sure as a salesperson. So I'll give you a very simple example, since he has a very important question. If you okay, sir, I can take a couple of minutes. So very simple thing I would tell you, in digital world, you know how many salesperson are there? So let's take into media world. Okay, so there is print, TV, radio, hoarding, out of door, direct marketing, digital, maybe 7. There are more, but let's take 7 as a medium. In each of these 7 mediums, there are at least 10 companies who are selling, like Times of India, Hindustan Times, in publications and all. So 7 into 10 is 70. Technically, it is much more than 70. It is hundreds of more than 100,000. But let's take it as 70. In each of this company, there are at least 100, say 10 people doing sales. So now 70 into 10, 700 salesperson, right? And how many Coke brand manager or a Dove brand manager? If somebody can tell me, how many brand managers are there? Any of this brand, any of your favorite brand, how many brand manager? 1. So one brand manager versus 700 people going for that money. How that brand manager will remember you and why that brand manager will give you that 10 minutes. That is something is your competition as a sales. So if you are in sales, don't think your competition is only your colleague or somebody in the industry, but the entire media industry is your competition. Everybody in sales is your competition. So you need to be that different compared to the rest of the guys. And the easiest mantra, I'll be very honest, I learned that, and it's the easiest thing. Don't need to worry. All you need to do is keep your knowledge to the top level. Keep your knowledge up to date into a particular industry. And
Okay,
trust
sir.
me, in a couple of years, you will see yourself in a different way.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Umar sir, no more questions. up to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Tapesh, for hosting a wonderful session. Pritesh sir, thank you so much for
My pleasure,
agreeing
sir.
and accepting to speak to our students. We miss you on campus, and we hope
Yes, even
that
I miss the
you get
campus.
yes, we hope you get an opportunity to come down sometime and speak again. Guys, you need to give him a big round of applause for two reasons.
My
First,
pleasure, guys.
when we planned this as an activity, he was somebody immediately on board. In fact, he was very encouraging of the idea. And two, despite the huge time difference that he has, it's probably 6:30 in the morning when we started the session at his end. He was up at 5 in the morning to speak to you guys. I guess more than the knowledge that he shared, this is something that you need to take from the session in terms of respecting the speaker and the commitment that they show to the next generation. So I guess he deserves a bigger round of applause for doing
Thank you
this.
very
Thank
much,
you.
sir.
Thank you
Very
so
much,
much.
sir. My
Really
pleasure.
appreciate, and we hope we have some more digital marketing sessions and classes in person as and when
Yes.
you are here, and we would love the
When I'm
opportunity.
coming to India, sir, one request is मेरा एक session live रख देना team के साथ. I would love to, obviously, any students, all the students. I miss that. I miss that my teaching at Rizvi, to be honest. Every Thursdays I used to be there entire day at Rizvi. I really miss that. The lunch we used to have together, all those things I really miss. So when I
I
come
know.
there, एक session मेरा रख देना, please.
Pakka. And I'll make sure that it is an entire day session so that you compensate for the every and all the time that you have lost out.
For
Lunch
sure, sir. I'll be
included.
more than happy.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much,
very
Thank you,
much.
guys.
Tapesh.
See you
Thank
guys.
you,
Take
sir.
care. Stay
Thank you,
safe.
sir. Take care.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Have a good
Thank you
day. Bye.
everyone for attending it. Have a good evening.
Bye.